The Leopard and the God. Written by Wendy Lee. Once upon a time, a god ruled over all the animals in the forest. One summer day, while the god was sleeping, a loud noise woke him up. The god looked down into the forest to see what was going on. He saw a leopard playing a drum. He said to himself, "The sound of the drum is so loud, that must annoy every creature. I need to find a way to stop the leopard." Then the god came up with an idea. The god went to visit the leopard in the forest. "May I play your drum?" the god asked. The leopard shook his head and said, "No, no one can touch my drum." The god asked the leopard several times, but the leopard's answer was always the same. The god decided to wait until the leopard went hunting. Then the god would get the drum. But the leopard did not go hunting that day. The god went to ask the other animals if they could help him to get the drum. The python agreed to help the god. He went to talk to the leopard and said, "Leopard, your drum is beautiful. Can I borrow it to play at my family reunion?" The leopard refused. "Didn't it happen last week?" he asked, chasing the python off with a loud roar. Next, the elephant offered to help. He was confident that the leopard would listen to him. The elephant went to the leopard's home. He asked the leopard if he could borrow the drum for a party. The leopard did not believe the elephant. He said, "I will bring the drum to your party tomorrow, but not now." Then he growled and chased the elephant away. This time, a tortoise offered to try and get the drum for the god. All the other animals laughed at the tortoise, but the tortoise did not care and went to find the leopard. When the tortoise found the leopard, she said, "I think your drum is too small to join our music festival tomorrow night." The leopard replied with confidence, "No way! My drum is the biggest one in the forest." The tortoise smiled and said, "It is because you have not seen the god's drum. It is much bigger than yours. Even a leopard can sit in it." Angrily, the leopard decided to prove that his drum was bigger than the god's. He went to sit inside his own drum. The tortoise had already prepared a big lid in advance. She trapped the leopard inside his drum. Then the tortoise rolled the drum to the god. The god and all the animals were overjoyed when they saw the tortoise come back with the drum. The tortoise took the lid off the drum and the leopard jumped out. He was very dizzy. The leopard felt that the drum was more trouble than it was worth. He decided to go away. After the leopard was gone, the god saw that the tortoise had been hurt while rolling the drum to him. The god felt very sorry for the tortoise. To thank the tortoise, the god gave her a hard shell. The shell would protect the tortoise and would give her a safe place to live. The god took the drum home. He decided to use the drum for warning animals when a storm was on the way. Then the animals would have time to find shelter before the rain and wind arrived.
The Shepherd Boy and the Wolf. In a peaceful village, there was a young shepherd boy who took care of his sheep very well. The lady in the wool shop patted the boy's head when she saw him.
"Precious child, make sure to watch carefully over the sheep."
He smiled and promised to be a good shepherd. When he went to buy winter clothes, the shopkeeper said, "Precious child, make sure to watch carefully over the sheep so we can get beautiful things of wool."
"I will, I promise."
he said. One day, when he was watching over the sheep, he imagined what would happen if he sounded the alarm. So he tried to test the bell by hitting it softly. But the sound was so loud, it echoed through the hills and valleys. He watched in horror as the villagers came running to help, with his father leading the pack. "I don't see a wolf anywhere," his father said in a booming voice.
Everybody, it's just a false alarm,
the naughty boy said.
My cake will burn,
one woman said angrily. "I have a crop to bring in. I don't have time for your silly games," said one farmer. His father scolded him privately, and then the people returned to their work. A long time afterward, when people had forgotten, he was guessing who would be the first on the scene when he rang the bell this time.
I hope it would be my father.
He burned to know for certain, so he rang the bell. Sure enough, there came his father over the crest of the hill, swinging his pitchfork. All the villagers followed behind, even his teacher, who was holding the broom she used to sweep. Soon they realized it was another false alarm. Exactly a week later, when he was lying under the tree while his sheep were grazing, he saw some sheep running here and there. After looking closely, he saw a wolf approaching the flock. The boy suddenly ran to the edge of the hill and started screaming for help.
Help! Help! There is a wolf for real!
He tried to ring the bell as much as he could.
Please, help!
But this time, the villagers didn't pay any heed to the screaming boy. The boy kept screaming for help, but no one turned up this time. All he could do was stand there and watch his sheep getting killed by the wolf.
Oh, I shouldn't have played that prank with the villagers. Nobody believed me when the wolf actually turned up. What should I do now? I lost all my sheep.
The boy cried.
The Snail Family. Written by Donna Kim.
A mother snail and her 3 baby snails lived in a garden. One evening, the mother snail said, "Let's go out and explore the garden." Then the mother snail slid across the ground, and the baby snails followed her. When they saw some vines, the mother snail said to her babies, "Let's climb up these vines." The baby snails excitedly went after their mother, up the vines. Next, the snail family traveled past a patch of flowers. By then, the baby snails were hungry. They said, "Mom, we want to eat something." The mother snail gently said, "Wait for me, babies." Then she climbed up a nearby plant with pink flowers. She pushed the flowers down so the baby snails could eat them. After the babies were full, the snail family started back home. The mother snail used her tentacles to find the way home through the darkness. Suddenly, a bird flew down and pecked one baby snail on his shell. The baby snail cried out, "Ouch! Something hit me, Mom!" The snails were all afraid. The mother snail yelled, "Hide under these leaves! That bird is trying to eat you!" Hiding under the leaves, the snail family waited until the bird flew away. Then they continued their journey back to their house, which was under a rock. As the baby snails were going to sleep, the mother snail thought about their next adventure. The next evening, the mother snail woke her babies up and said, "Let's go to the nearby vegetable garden and enjoy tender greens there." Soon, they reached the garden where tender greens grew. The baby snails were so excited about eating the tender greens. But when the baby snails started to eat the vegetables, they cried out in pain. "Mom, my eyes hurt! I cannot see anything!" As the mother saw the white powder on the ground, she screamed, "It's lime powder! The gardener is trying to chase us away! Let's get out of here!" As they left the vegetable garden, the mother snail said, "Let's go home. We should not eat the vegetables that the gardeners work hard to plant." From that day on, the snail family did not go back to the vegetable garden to eat the tender greens.
The Monkey and the Two Cats. Two cats were walking together in search of food. Suddenly, they saw a big cheese and went running as fast as they could to pick it.
"Give me the cheese. I'm the one to see it first,"
one cat said.
"No, I am. It should be mine,"
the other cat said. They were fighting and fighting, but could not find a way to divide the cheese into two equal parts. Just then, a cunning monkey passed by and saw the two cats fight over the cheese. He came up with an idea. The monkey came to the cats and said, "Calm down, my two little buddies. It's just a piece of cheese. Let me help you." The two cats agreed and handed over the cheese to the monkey. The monkey split the cheese into two pieces. "Let me see," said the monkey with a sly look. "The piece on this side looks bigger than the other." And with that, he bit off a large piece.
"Why did you bite our cheese?"
asked the cats. "Because," said the monkey, "I must make sure that neither of you has more than the other." As he said, the monkey bit off another piece of cheese, then another one, until he ate it all. Finally, right after the cunning monkey finished the whole cheese, he quickly ran away. When the two cats realized that they were tricked, they could do nothing because the monkey had been out of reach. The cats were now left hungry with nothing to eat. However, they had learnt the lesson that when you quarrel, someone else could take advantage of the situation. They promised to never fight each other for food ever again.
The Clever Bunny, written by Allie Bank. One hot summer day, a hungry bunny found a sweet potato patch. As it began to dig, a farmer grabbed it by the ears. He yelled, "Great! A bunny for my dinner!" Then the farmer went to a stream to wash his face. The bunny pretended to be dead. The farmer said, "The bunny looks too weak to run away." So he put the bunny on the bank. Right away, the bunny got up and ran away. The bunny ran to a river. It wanted to cross the river, but there was no bridge. Then the bunny saw a crocodile swimming in the river. It yelled, "Hello, Mr. Crocodile! Please, help me cross the river!" The crocodile wanted to eat the bunny. So it replied, "Sure, I will take you to the other side." When reaching the other side, the crocodile grabbed the bunny by the legs. The bunny was scared. Then the bunny said, "Do you want to hear a joke before you eat me?" The crocodile agreed. The bunny's joke made the crocodile laugh so hard that it opened its mouth. At once, the bunny jumped up on the riverbank and ran away. Once again, the bunny's cleverness saved its life.
The Monkey and the Crocodile. Deep in the forest lived a very clever monkey named Hugo. If there was ever a problem, all the animals would say,
"Just ask Hugo."
One day, there was a heavy rain.
Hey, Hugo!
A monkey said.
The rain is causing the river to overflow! We can't get to the other side to get some fresh bananas!
Hugo came up with an answer right away.
We can use branches to build a dam and stop the rushing water. Then climb across them to get to the other bank.
Hugo was so good at solving problems that the other animals nicknamed him You Go Hugo. One day, while Hugo was talking with his friends, he spotted from the corner of his eye a crocodile, whose name was Rico. Rico was clumsily trying to hide behind a tree, but the tree was not big enough.
Silly crocodile, I'll watch you while you watch us,
Hugo thought. Rico came from a river not far from where Hugo lived. He heard two frogs talking about what a clever monkey Hugo was. They said Hugo had all the answers. Rico wanted all the answers. He thought if he had Hugo's heart, he could have his answers too. So he sat there, thinking really hard about how to get Hugo's heart. Suddenly, Rico saw something shiny. It was a stone. He had a plan.
Hey, Hugo!
Rico called up to Hugo, who was sitting on a tree branch.
Yes?
Hugo said.
Come down here, little monkey. I hear you're smart.
Is that why you've been watching us?
Hugo asked as he swung between the trees.
No,
Rico lied.
I think I found something you might want.
He held up the shiny stone.
What would I want with that?
Hugo asked as he sat on a branch.
You're smart. You can make something with it.
And what do you want?
I'd like to shake the hand of such a clever monkey.
Hugo knew Rico was lying, and that what he really wanted was inside of him. But he had a plan.
What if I want something that can make me strong?
Rico thought for a few seconds and replied,
I have strong teeth. Hop into my mouth and take one of mine.
Rico held the shiny stone in his mouth as Hugo climbed down. Hugo got close to Rico's mouth and held his hand out, then quickly pulled it away. Rico was in such a hurry to have Hugo's heart that he clamped his mouth tight and broke his tooth on the stone.
Ah!
Silly crocodile!
Hugo jumped back to the tree.
Your tooth won't make me strong, just like my heart won't make you smart.
Hugo swung away, leaving silly Rico rubbing his cheek in pain and embarrassment.
The Wolf and His Shadow. One day, Jaddy the Wolf was hungry enough to leave his lair to look for food. He was thinking of what a juicy meal he could have. He then thought that it was a good idea to drink some water before eating. Having made that decision, he went off. He started running, hoping to get to the puddle in record time. He then noticed that the sun was higher in the sky. He glanced to his side and saw his shadow reflecting on the side of a cave. He didn't realize that he was such a huge fellow.
Wow!
He stopped and held up one leg. He noticed how big it looked as a shadow reflecting on the cave wall. He stood up straight and puffed out his chest. He saw his whole figure spread on the cave wall. He thought,
"Why, I need not fear a puny lion. I'm bigger and bolder than this so-called king of the jungle."
He made up his mind right then and there to either stand still or charge if a lion ever chased him again. He watched his shadow for a long time, happy that years of good eating had made him plump and great in size. Before he could realize what was happening, a shadow blotted out his shadow completely. It was a powerful lion pouncing upon his back to show his might and power and to satisfy his great hunger. The Travelers and the Sea. One day, a boat carrying two fishermen, Gumbo and Patch, hit some rocks. The boat began to fill with water. The men were close to the shore of a land they had never seen or heard of before. They tried to row to shore, but the boat sank and they had to swim to safety. They stayed together as they checked out the new land. They noticed plenty of fruit trees and were glad because this meant that they would not starve. For supper, they ate pineapples and drank water from coconuts. Afterwards, they became very sleepy, so they lay down near the shore. In the morning, they woke up, and after having some bananas for breakfast, they wandered off to explore the land. As they looked out toward the sea, thinking of how far away from home they were, they saw something that made them hopeful. A large brown object was bobbing up and down in the sea, and it was coming their way. Gumbo's eyes grew wide with anticipation. "Maybe it's a boatload of fish," he said. "I could eat fish for breakfast, lunch, and dinner." He had another thought. "When we finish eating all the fish, we can use the boat to go back home." Patch was hoping it was a boat full of treasures. His eyes had a merry twinkle as the waves pushed the object closer and closer.
"I know how to turn jewels and gems into fine necklaces, bracelets, rings, and earrings. They will be things of beauty. We'll become rich, selling the jewelry to people back home."
"I'll see my wife and family soon," Gumbo said.
"We're going home!"
Patch yelled to the skies. Then he looked at the object riding on the waves and getting closer and closer.
"Come to us, treasure chest. We are waiting for you,"
Patch said. Soon the huge object washed ashore. "We were both wrong," said Gumbo as he stomped his foot, while Patch kicked the sand in anger. They worked together to lug the water-soaked log to shore.
Belling the cat. The mayor of Mousetown called a meeting. All the mice came, big and small, short and tall. The mayor, a fat mouse with long whiskers, climbed upon a stool. He said,
"Our enemy, the cat, has to be stopped."
"Yes, we want to live and grow old," said the town clerk.
"We need some way of knowing when the cat is coming,"
said another little mouse. A little mouse by the name of Pipsqueak spoke up.
"If we know she is coming, we will have time to run and hide."
"Just last week, she got my brother," said a girl mouse in a pink dress. She sniffed and almost cried as she thought about her brother. The mayor tapped the table to get everyone's attention.
"An early warning plan is needed. Any idea?"
he said. The mice turned to each other and chatted. They were sharing ideas and scary stories about the cat. No one came up with an idea.
Excuse me.
Emily stood up in the middle of her circle. Everyone was surprised. Emily was known as a shy little mouse.
"I have an idea,"
she said.
"At Christmas time, we always have bells on the gate outside our house. That way, we know when a guest is coming to visit. So, if we had a bell to place around the cat's neck, we would know she is coming our way."
The mayor smiled at the idea.
"We'll have time to run quickly and hide."
The mice were laughing and dancing around. Pipsqueak spoke up.
"Have we decided which brave mouse will bell the cat?"
No one answered. The idea of being near the cat frightened all, let alone belling her. They had gotten a wonderful idea, but no one was brave enough to make it happen. That's why until now, the mice are still scared of the cat.
Town Mouse and Country Mouse. Once there were two mice. One lived in a beautiful country, and the other lived in a big town. One day, the town mouse visited the country mouse's small cottage.
Hey! Thanks for asking me to come visit,
she told the country mouse once they were sitting on a log by the fire.
Glad to have you come,
the country mouse gladly said. Then the town mouse heard a noise outside.
What is that noise?
The town mouse asked.
Oh, that's the sound of water flowing along the brook in my backyard,
said the country mouse.
It's music to my ears.
Soon the two mice were seated on stools and they began to have dinner. When the town mouse put the wheat stalk in her mouth, she couldn't believe how awful it tasted.
Ew. What's wrong?
The country mouse asked nervously.
Nothing. I don't usually eat this kind of food,
the town mouse replied.
So, what kind of food do you eat every day?
The country mouse asked. Then the town mouse was happy to talk about her life. She spoke of the many delicious meals that she ate back home. She told about her bed of cloth filled with cotton, and even those candles that made her rooms smell like lavender, honey, and berries.
Why don't you come to visit?
The town mouse invited. The country mouse agreed. The next morning, the country mouse packed a suitcase and then left the cottage with the town mouse. When the two mice arrived in the town, the country mouse heard a noise that made her feel very afraid and unsafe. She asked,
What's that sound?
Oh, that's just a blue jay,
the town mouse said, laughing when she saw her friend covering both ears with both hands. When they got to Town Mouse's home, the first thing they did was hide. They ran through a hole in the wall, down a long hallway, and into a small area behind a stairway.
What's that noise?
The country mouse asked nervously.
Oh, that's an airplane getting ready to land at the airport down the street,
said the town mouse. Later, when they were eating leftover fish and fries, another noise scared the country mouse so badly that she choked.
That's just drills and hammers. They are building some apartments next door,
said the town mouse.
This place just isn't right for me. I should really go back,
cried the country mouse. The country mouse grabbed her suitcase and ran back to her cottage. Finally, she realized that there's no place better than home.
The Clever Rabbit and the Lion. Written by alley bank. Once, there lived a lion in the forest. He often chased and ate other animals. All the animals were scared of the lion and ran away when they saw him. One day, the animals saw the lion again, so they quickly ran and hid. While running away, they saw a rabbit eating a carrot under a tree. The tortoise hurried to the rabbit. He yelled out, "Run, rabbit! Run! The lion is coming!" The rabbit calmly said to the tortoise, "I am tired of running away from the bad lion. Today I will teach him a lesson." The tortoise thought, "He is crazy!" and ran away. Soon the lion came near the rabbit's place. He roared and yelled, "Where are you all? I am so hungry now." Bravely, the rabbit jumped out in front of the lion and said, "Hey, Mr. Lion, if you are hungry, you can eat me. A big lion told me that rabbit meat is very tasty." The lion angrily roared, "A big lion? I am the only lion in this forest. Show me that lion, or I will eat you right now." The rabbit said, "Follow me." The rabbit led the bad lion to a river. Then he said, "That big lion lives under the water." The bad lion looked into the water and roared when he saw the big lion. The big lion roared too. The bad lion got very angry. The bad lion jumped into the water to fight the big lion. The bad lion did not know that the lion in the river was his own reflection. A strong current of water soon carried him away. All the animals happily thanked the clever rabbit. From that day on, they lived in peace and never saw the lion again.
The Dog and His Reflection. Gruff, a skinny dog who went around town begging for bones and scraps, received a new bone with quite a bit of meat still attached. It was a reward from the butcher, for Gruff had kept burglars from robbing the butcher's shop. He decided to go to his favorite spot in the park and eat this one in private. He was crossing a footbridge to get to this park, where there was a river and lots of shade trees.
Oh my!
Gruff looked down and saw a dog below him. He had a bigger bone with more meat on it than the one Gruff had in his mouth.
I wonder what that dog did to earn such a huge bone,
he thought. Then Gruff decided that he must have that bone. He opened his mouth and leaped into the river to get the other dog's bone. His bone landed in the water and was carried away by a strong current. Alas! He figured out that the dog he had seen in the river was his own reflection. He also knew that by going after something that he thought was better and that belonged to someone else, he had lost his own bone for good.
My mother taught me that water is like a mirror. How could I forget?
Gruff thought and went away.
Are You My Mom? Written by Sally Dixon. Mike the Mouse found an egg in a nest by a fruit tree. But where was the egg's mom? Peck, peck. Mike watched as the egg jumped and jumped and jumped. Peck, peck. Mike watched as a beak poked from the eggshell. Peep, peep. Mike watched as a yellow chick jumped from the eggshell.
Are you my mom?
The chick said to Mike.
No, I am not your mom. I am a mouse,
said Mike. The chick said,
You are not right. I think you are my mom, and I think I am a mouse.
The yellow chick kissed Mike on the cheek. Mike ran from the nest by the tree, and the chick chased Mike back to a house.
Do we live here, Mom?
The chick said to Mike. Mike sighed and said,
I am not your mom, but we will look for your mom.
The chick said,
But you are my mom.
Mike walked back to the nest by the bush, and the chick chased him. Huff the Puffin stood by a rock.
Are you this chick's mom?
Said Mike.
No, I am not,
said Huff. Huck the Duck sat by a log.
Are you this chick's mom?
Said Mike.
No, I am not,
said Huck.
Look,
said Mike.
Here comes Han the hen.
Han ran to the nest by the bush and said with a sad voice,
Where is my egg?
I think Han might be your mom,
Mike said to the chick.
You look like her.
The chick looked at Mike, and then he looked at Han. The hen had a beak and wings like he did.
I am not a mouse,
yelled the chick. As Han kissed his beak, the chick said,
You are my mom, and I am glad.
Han and the chick hugged Mike, and Han said,
Thank you.
The Monster and the Farmer, written by Catherine Osornio. There once lived a farmer in a village. He was famous for being hard-working and very clever. Nearby, there was a mean monster that often harmed the crops. One evening, the monster appeared in the farmer's field and yelled,
Here's a new field to destroy!
The farmer was very scared. The farmer brought out a chest of gold and said,
Here's my savings. Please take it and leave my field alone.
The monster laughed. He had no use for money.
Give me food for the next 3 harvests, or I will destroy your field,
the monster ordered.
After a month, I will come back to take all that grows on the ground.
Thinking for a while, the farmer nodded and agreed. When it was harvest time, the monster was back, but all he got were the radish greens that grew on the ground. The monster was mad. He said,
Next time, I want the roots that grow under the ground.
The next harvest time came, and the monster was back again. But all he got were the rice roots that grew under the ground. The monster was angry. He said,
Next time, I want the roots and the leaves.
Soon, the next harvest came, and the monster returned. The farmer said, As promised, I only took the corn cobs. All the leaves, stalks, and roots are for you. Then the monster realized that the clever farmer had fooled him, but he could not do anything. Angry, the monster went far away and was never seen again.
The Tortoise and the Geese. Once there was a tortoise living near a stream. He had 2 geese friends who lived miles away but flew to visit him every month. Whenever the geese visited the tortoise, the three best friends spent all their time playing and searching for food. They also cooked and had many delicious meals together. The three lived a peaceful life without any quarrels or fights. At the end of one such visiting day, as usual, the geese flew back to their home.
Goodbye.
Left alone in his house, the tortoise became upset. My poor friends, for years they have always come to this stream to play with me, while I've been lazy and stayed here. He thought and thought about this every day and every night. A month later, when the two geese visited the tortoise, he decided to express his concern. "My dearest friends," he said, "you guys have flown visiting me all the time. Meanwhile, I have not even once. How about I come to your house this time?"
"Thank you, my friend,"
responded one of the geese.
"We really appreciate your suggestion. If you'd like to visit us, we're willing to help." "Yes, indeed,"
said the other goose.
"We've thought about inviting you to our house before, but we couldn't find a suitable way to do this. You know, we have wings and we can fly, but you don't. So maybe we should wait until we find a solution."
The tortoise agreed and stopped thinking about it for a while. The three friends continued with their peaceful lives. However, this peace did not last long. That year, the summer was much hotter and longer than usual. Plants were scorched and dried up. Hundreds of animals and insects were starving. Living near the stream, the tortoise and the geese lived better than the other animals. However, they could not remain much longer, as the stream was drying up. The three friends urgently needed to find a way of carrying the tortoise to the geese's house.
"Does anyone have any ideas?"
asked one goose. "I've been thinking about climbing and sitting on your back. Then you will fly me to your house. How do you feel about that?" asked the tortoise.
"That would be too dangerous. You might slip and fall,"
replied the goose.
"Maybe he could hold your neck tight to keep his balance,"
suggested the other goose. "I don't think so. How could I hold her neck with these two short legs?" responded the tortoise.
"Oh, it's so difficult. What can we do?"
sighed the goose. One by one, the solutions were discussed, but none sounded right. After a couple of hours, the tortoise had an idea. I might bite a stick so that you two can carry me with it to your house," suggested the tortoise.
"What a great plan! Why couldn't we think of that earlier?"
said one goose excitedly.
"Yeah, let's start our journey right away. I can't stay here another moment,"
replied the other goose. So the three friends began their journey. The two geese held a stick in their beaks, and the tortoise bit the stick between his teeth. They flew over hills, valleys, fields, and plains. They dreamed of their new lives in the geese's homeland which was a more fertile place without any drought. Many animals on the ground saw that extraordinary scene and clapped in wonder. However, some others criticized the tortoise for using his two friends in such a way. "Silly tortoise! Get down here! You look so ridiculous! You're such a bad friend to make your friends do that. Don't you know how hard it is for the geese to carry you that way?" yelled someone. The tortoise was sad and resentful. Why did these animals only criticize him? However, as he was biting the stick, he could not open his mouth to explain. The two geese understood the tortoise's feelings. They comforted him. However, there was more and more shouting and criticizing, which irritated the tortoise very much. The tortoise was so angry and he wanted to explain. Finally, he opened his mouth to speak, forgetting that he needed to bite down on the stick. In doing so, he lost his grip and fell from the sky. The tortoise got hurt badly and could not continue his journey. "Oh, silly me. I should have listened to my geese friends. I shouldn't have let my anger control me," moaned the tortoise. The two geese landed beside him. They were very worried about the tortoise.
"Oh dear, are you all right? Where did you get hurt? We're so sorry that we couldn't fly fast enough to save you from falling."
I don't feel very well. My whole body hurts so much, and I'm afraid that I cannot continue our journey," replied the tortoise. Luckily, the place where the tortoise had fallen was not experiencing a drought. So the two geese decided to stay there for a few weeks while they waited for their friend to recover. One way or another, the tortoise had learned a valuable lesson after his impulsive act. When doing something important, you need to maintain your focus and not let others affect your work. The tortoise promised not to repeat his impulsive act ever again.
Breakfast in the Jungle.
Written by Sally Dixon.
Fran the panda and Greg the gorilla were in the kitchen of their house. Greg looked out the window and said,
"It's a fine day in the jungle. Why don't we make a stack of pancakes and eat them for breakfast?"
Fran said,
"We should set up a table and chairs in the garden by the vines. Then we could eat our breakfast in the hot sunshine."
Fran found a whisk, a spoon, and a dish in the drawer. She would use these for mixing the pancake batter. Greg took 7 eggs out of the fridge, as well as some other food. Fran stirred the mixture in the bowl and tipped it into a hot pan. The round pancake bubbled. Greg flipped it over and cooked it on the other side. Fran and Greg stirred and flipped many pancakes, and soon they had a high stack of them on a plate.
"There must be 1,000,000 pancakes for us to eat,"
said Fran.
"Not quite 1,000,000, but there are a lot of them,"
said Greg. Fran and Greg also chopped up some fruit to put on the pancakes. They chopped up 9 yellow bananas, 7 green melons, and 2 lemons. Fran and Greg set up a table and chairs in the garden. They put up a big umbrella, too. Tall trees grew around the garden, and long vines grew around the trees. They put the plate of pancakes and all the fruit on the table.
"It is time to eat our breakfast in the jungle,"
Fran said as they sat down.
Tweet, tweet,
said a sweet voice high up in a tree. Gwen the wren flew down from the tree and landed on the table. Gwen hopped around the stack of pancakes and said,
"Can I have breakfast with you? I would like to nibble some of your yummy food."
"We like visitors, and that would make us happy,"
said Fran. "Buzz, buzz," said a little voice high up in the vines. Nan the gnat zoomed down from the vines and landed on the table. Nan buzzed around the stack of pancakes and said,
"Your breakfast looks so good. Can I have a crumb or two?"
"You can eat many crumbs with us,"
said Greg.
Achoo!
Behind the house, someone with a loud voice sneezed. The sneeze made a huge breeze, and it blew the vines and the trees. Boom! Bang! Boom! Someone with huge feet walked into the garden. It was Eric the elephant, and again he said,
Achoo!
Eric stopped sneezing and looked at the stack of pancakes. He walked around the table and said,
"Can I eat breakfast with you?"
"We like visitors,"
said Fran.
"You can sit and eat with us."
Eric sat down on one of the chairs and wrecked it.
"Oh no, I'm too big for your chairs,"
he said. His face was sad.
"We don't mind,"
said Fran.
"We are glad you are here. You can sit on the ground."
"You are so kind,"
said Eric. All of them sat around the table and ate breakfast. They squeezed the lemons over the round pancakes and ate them with banana and melon. Soon, all of them were full.
"Next week, you can all come over to my house,"
said Eric.
"I will fry bacon and eggs for us to eat."
The Promise. Written by Curtis Norris. Paul and Jim were best friends and always did things together. On Monday, Jim said,
"Spelling is so difficult. Can you help me tomorrow after school?"
"Okay," said Paul with a smile.
"Promise?"
said Jim.
"Pinky promise?"
"Pinky promise," Paul replied, and they hooked their little fingers together. On Tuesday after school, some boys asked Paul to play football with them. Paul knew he promised to help Jim with his spelling, but he really wanted to play football too. So he did. On Wednesday, Paul smiled at Jim. "Hi, Jim," he said. Jim did not answer him and did not smile either. He just kept walking to class. At lunchtime, Jim did not sit next to Paul as usual. When Paul got home, he was feeling rather sad.
"What's wrong?"
asked Paul's mom.
"Jim is mad at me,"
Paul answered.
"Why?"
asked Mom.
"Because I didn't help him with his spelling yesterday,"
Paul explained.
"Did you tell him you would help?"
Mom wanted to know. Paul looked at the floor and said,
"Yes, I promised I would."
"Oh,"
said Mom.
"Well, a promise is a very serious thing. You should always keep your promise and do what you say you will."
"Yeah, I know,"
said Paul quietly.
"Now Jim doesn't like me anymore."
Mom smiled and said,
"Well, it's not too late. You can still keep your promise. Why don't you go help him now? Better late than never."
Paul brightened and nodded, then rushed out the door to Jim's house. At Jim's door, Paul said shyly,
"I'm sorry I broke my promise, Jim."
"You hurt my feelings, Paul,"
said Jim.
"I thought we were friends."
"We are,"
said Paul.
"I am really sorry. I should have kept my promise. Can I help you with your spelling now?"
Jim thought, then smiled a little.
"Well, I did miss you, Paul." "Sure, you can still help me. Thanks. Will you be my best friend forever?"
"Yes,
Paul nodded.
I promise.
Mike helps a tiger. Written by Sally Dixon. Mike the mouse was on his bike one night when the stars were bright. He looked up high in the sky and could see Bob the bat in flight.
It's a good night to fly,
Mike yelled up to Bob. Bob looked down at Mike and yelled,
It's a good night to ride a bike.
Mike's bike went up the hill, down the hill, and over a path. He stopped by the woods.
Boo-hoo,
said a loud voice.
Who is crying?
Said Mike.
I will find out who it is. They might need my help.
Mike jumped off his bike and walked into the black woods.
Boo-hoo,
said the loud voice again.
Where are you and why do you cry? Is there anything I can do for you?
Called Mike. He looked in the woods, but it was quite black.
I think I need some light,
said Mike. Mike looked up high and could see Bob the bat in flight.
Can you help me?
Mike yelled up to Bob.
Can you bring a flashlight to the woods?
I will find a flashlight and meet you in the woods.
Bob yelled down to Mike. Mike stood by the woods.
Boo-hoo,
said the loud voice again.
Who are you and why do you cry?
Said Mike.
Is there anything we can do for you?
Bob found a bright flashlight. Mike and Bob looked in the woods with a flashlight. They found a big black hole in the ground.
Shine the flashlight into that big black hole,
Mike said to Bob. Light from the flashlight filled the hole, and they could see a tiger. He was shaking with fright.
Who are you, and why do you cry?
Said Mike to the tiger. But the tiger did not say anything. All he did was cry.
I think he might be shy,
Mike said to Bob.
Is there anything we can do for the tiger?
Bob said to Mike.
We could get a rope and help him out of the hole,
said Mike.
I will fly and get some,
said Bob. He went up high in the night sky where the stars were bright. Mike sat by the edge of the big, black hole and said to the tiger,
I will sing for you.
He sang a soft song, and soon the tiger stopped crying.
I like that song,
said the tiger with a soft voice. He was a shy tiger.
I am Tim,
said the shy tiger.
I was on my way to pick some red roses and fell down this hole. I had to lie here all day and night.
Bob and I will help you,
said Mike. Bob was flying up high in the night sky. He had a rope.
I will tie the rope to this tree,
said Mike. Tim the tiger went up the rope and jumped out of the big, black hole.
Thank you for being so kind,
said Tim.
I am glad you found me in that hole.
All of them sat in the woods and looked at the sky. The stars were bright in the night sky. They sang 9 songs.
Teamwork is fun. Written by Colin Rampton. Today, Bennett heard some bad news. Their class would go camping to encourage teamwork. Bennett did not like teamwork.
It's terrible,
he thought. He wanted to do things on his own.
I hope that all of you will have a fun time together. And remember, team is together everyone achieves more.
The teacher explained to the class. For Bennett, it was, together everyone acts mean. Bennett was in a team with Bernie and Clara. Bernie was a lazy boy. He did not want to do anything but sleep. Clara dreamt of being a famous singer. The only thing she knew was her silly songs. The mission for Bennett's team was to collect at least 30 sticks and branches to make a good fire. As a team, they were pretty useless. Bernie sat on a log and watched caterpillars. Clara wandered around, sang her songs, and collected a few sticks. Only Bennett tried to complete the mission, but it was not enough. Bennett's team completely failed. Their teacher was not pleased.
Every other team completed their tasks. Maybe your teammates are not your best friends, but that is no excuse. You had a job to do, and you let us all down.
Bennett said,
"Sorry, but I don't want to be on a team. I want to do things by myself."
Bennett, teamwork is very important. Doing well by yourself is not enough when you are on a team. Everything will go on successfully if your teammates do well like you,
said the teacher. The 3 kids felt very sorry and ashamed. They said,
"We are so sorry. Can we have a second chance? We will not let you down."
The teacher smiled happily and said,
"Of course you can."
This time, the 3 kids really enjoyed working together. Bennett realized that Clara had a very nice voice. He was totally wrong about Bernie, who wasn't such a lazy boy. They got along well working together. This really was a meaningful trip for Bennett. He learned that teamwork is very fun, too.
Be Honest. Written by Curtis Norris. On Friday afternoon, James ran home happily from school. It was finally the weekend. When he burst into the kitchen, his mom greeted him with cookies and milk for a snack. "How was your day?" she asked. "Did your teacher give you any homework for the weekend?" James munched his cookie and answered,
"Just one assignment. I have to write a report on dinosaurs for Monday."
"Then you should get started on it right after your snack," said his mom. But after his snack, James was tired, and he took a little nap in his room. When he woke up, it was time for dinner, and after dinner, he watched a movie.
"I'll do my report tomorrow,"
he thought when he went to bed for the night. But the next day, James played football with his friends, and that evening, he played video games until it was time for bed.
"I'll do my report tomorrow,"
he thought again. But Sunday was another busy day of fun, and by bedtime he still had not written his report. Lying in bed, he wondered what he would do. And then he had an idea. The next day in class, the teacher asked James if he had written his report.
"Yes, teacher,"
he lied.
"I wrote the report, but I don't have it."
"Why not?" Teacher wanted to know. James looked at the ceiling and said,
"Well, as I was walking to school, there was a big wind that took the report out of my hands. It blew down the street. I chased it, but then a dog grabbed it in its mouth. So I chased the dog, but he tore the page and dropped it in a puddle. The report was ruined."
Teacher looked at him a long time, then said, "James, that isn't true, is it?" James stared at his feet and said quietly,
"No, teacher. I didn't write the report. I played all weekend, and then it was too late. I'm sorry."
Teacher smiled and said, "That's better. You shouldn't lie, James. It's always better to tell the truth. I'll give you one more day to write your report. Will you promise to do it this time?" James smiled with relief.
"Yes, teacher," he said. "I will do the report tonight, and I will never lie again."